On just half an acre, over the course of one full year, we grew nearly all of our food. We raised chickens for eggs and meat. We butchered our own birds. We grew a year's worth of potatoes, squash, beans, tomatoes, and more. We planted a food forest just for our chickens so they could feed themselves. And we even carved out space to run a small market garden, selling vegetables while feeding our family at the same time. In this video, I'm going to show you everything we grew, everything that worked, what didn't, and how we did it all on a very small piece of land. Stick around because by the end of this video, I want you to see what's actually possible, even if you don't have acres of land. Before I show you how we planned and planted all of this, I want to show you where we ended up, because none of this made sense when we started. This is what half an acre produced for us this year. And the crazy part is, we didn't know if it would work. What I want to walk you through in this video is how this actually happened, starting from a blank piece of ground and turning it into food for our family and our chickens, without acres of land and without perfect conditions. We didn't plan this to look pretty. We planned it so it could feed us. Every section had a job. This part fed the chickens. This part fed us. And this section, that one had to make money. And halfway through the season, we learned a hard lesson. Because of carelessness on my part, a raccoon broke into our chicken tractor and I lost one of my birds. It was the first chicken I'd ever lost to a predator. And honestly, it really hurt. The year before that, deer wiped out my first serious corn planting. That's when it finally clicked. If you don't protect what you're growing, you're not growing food, you're just feeding pests. So we invested in electric net fencing. And since then, we haven't had a single issue. If I could start over, I'd tell anyone this first. Protect your garden before you even plant it. With that lesson learned, let me show you how this really began. This all started as grass, a whole quarter acre of it. Every few days, I'd mow it, wishing I could be doing anything else with my time. That's when I learned about silage tarps. Thick, black tarps that trap moisture and heat, killing everything beneath them. In just a few months, I had bare soil to work with. I brought in 10 cubic yards of compost and laid out 12 rows, 25 feet long each. I never tilled this ground. I let plants do the work, building soil year after year. This space eventually became our market garden. In the front yard, we went even smaller, a 20 by 20 foot raised bed garden right outside our door. Using everything I learned from market gardening, I designed it to produce as much food as possible in a small space. The goal was simple: feed our family year-round right where we live. This year didn't start smoothly. In January, we added a new small greenhouse to start seeds earlier, but the first big windstorm destroyed it. Trays flipped, seedlings were ruined, and we had to start over. Every season has moments where you think, this isn't going to work. But quitting has never really been an option for us. So we anchored a brand new greenhouse with concrete and started over again. Broccoli and onions were priorities this year. Foods we eat constantly and wanted to stop buying. Spring broccoli was eaten by rabbits before the fencing went in. That was another lesson learned. In April, we planted potatoes as a family. 60 pounds of seed potatoes went into the ground. This was the vision from the very beginning. The whole family growing food together. Potatoes are a survival crop for us, and they delivered. By early summer, we were already harvesting food. From just 3 raised beds, we harvested more green beans than we knew what to do with. The kids helped pick every one.
Do you see how much I'm picking?
Yeah. You're like the master.
And I didn't realize how much I actually liked green beans until we cooked them fresh with a little salt and garlic. Simple and honestly amazing. We put most of these beans in the freezer, and we're still eating them now. Lucy and Stephanie cut the beans in smaller pieces, and we boiled them in a big pot of water to blanch them for 3 minutes. Then we gave them an ice bath to stop the cooking process.
Alright, got all these beans in the ice bath. Now we're going to dry them off and load them up into freezer bags.
After drying them out on a towel, we vacuum sealed the bags and stacked them in our freezer. That first harvest gave us about 8 bags of green beans, and honestly, that just fired me up to put away even more food for storage. The next day, I went back out and picked another full basket we missed the first time. That was another 5 pounds right there. That harvest taught me something important. Timing matters. Once those beds were finished, we didn't leave them empty. We planted broccoli in their place for the fall. That's when I stopped growing vegetables just because they looked good. I made it a priority to grow more of what we actually eat. This garden didn't need to impress anyone, but it did have to feed our family. We have realized that the best way to manage your garden and actually feed your family is to have your garden as close to your front door as possible. That led us to add an additional raised bed right in front of our new off-grid home. The closer it is to your door, the better you will manage your garden. We set up this beautiful raised bed from Vego with their new greenhouse cover. This way we can grow crops all winter long without stopping. We planted winter greens in here and they're very much alive. Not growing much at the moment, but just coasting along even with these frigid temperatures, and they're safely tucked away inside the tunnel. And the beauty of this raised bed and cover is that it acts like a mini high tunnel. It traps warmth, blocks wind, and keeps everything protected, so these crops keep producing right outside our front door. You can use my code Once Upon a Tiny Farm 10 off to get a discount on this raised bed for yourself. Right beside our personal garden, the market garden was growing too. I focused on fast crops: salad greens, radishes, beets, and carrots. Crops that mature quickly and let us rotate beds multiple times a season. It wasn't our most profitable year yet, but it was my favorite. And that's because my kids were more involved than ever. They helped harvest, they helped wash produce, they helped set up at the market. My daughter even started making her own jewelry and selling it at the table with me. Watching her talk to customers, make change, and take pride in her work, that meant more to me than the money. I want my kids to know that the work they do matters, that whatever they want in life, they have to work for it. It's not going to be handed to them. You get out what you put in. Just like in the garden, nobody's going to grow this food for us. We have to do it ourselves. And if we don't do it, someone else will do it for us. Most of the time, the food you get at the store, or even the education kids get in public schools, isn't nearly as good as what we can do ourselves. It might not be popular, it might not be what everyone else is doing, but we have to do what's right. And I want my kids to see that every single day by watching their parents live it. My hope is that one day they pass that same wisdom on to their own kids. Chickens are one of the most important parts of our homestead. We started with 6 birds back in 2020. This year we expanded again, adding chicken tunnels around the garden edges. Inside the tunnels, we planted fodder crops like clover, oats, and wheat. By early summer, it was all gone. And that taught me something important. Annuals aren't enough. Next year, those tunnels will be planted with perennials like comfrey, amaranth, and sunchokes. Right in front of the chicken tunnels, we planted a dedicated chicken garden. Corn, beans, squash, and sunflowers, grown to avoid buying feed. Some of it worked, some of it didn't, but every failure brought clarity. We also raised meat birds for the first time. Cornish cross broilers were ready in 8 weeks. We also have Delaware broilers finishing now, which take longer, but fit better in our systems long term. The chickens cleaned up old garden beds, ate weeds, and fertilized the soil for next year. Nothing wasted. Somewhere in the middle of managing all of this, the gardens, the chickens, the market garden, the systems, I pushed myself harder than I ever had before. And for the first time in my life, I worked myself to the point where I hurt myself badly enough to end up in the hospital. That moment forced me to stop. You can build the best systems in the world, but if the person running them breaks down, the whole thing falls apart. I had been so focused on feeding my family and building resilience that I forgot I was part of the system too. That experience changed how I think about this homestead moving forward. Sustainability isn't just about soil and animals. It's about pace. It's about health. And it's about building systems you can maintain for decades, not just one season. All of that work led to harvest. Pulling potatoes felt like a treasure hunt. We sold half of them, stored half, saving seed for next year. Squash was a huge success, especially delicata. The spring broccoli failed, but the fall broccoli thrived in our front raised bed gardens. Tomatoes were abundant, especially Amish paste. We had one of our best fall carrot harvests ever from just a single raised bed. We put away bags of carrots in our fridge and are still harvesting those carrots for meals throughout the winter. All right, I'm gonna pull some of these peanuts I had growing in pots here. I haven't done anything, so I'm curious. Look at that!
We got peanuts!
Look at these, Matthew! Come look at the peanuts!
That is so cool. Look, they all grew here. Isn't that cool?
The inside is the really big one.
Yeah. All the peanuts are on the inside.
Oh, alright, we still got
Don't
a lot
pull
of
them off yet.
production.
Let's
We still got a lot. Huh.
There's only 2 on that one. Wow.
Oh,
Careful.
Matthew.
Show the camera.
That is cool.
Isn't that neat?
Let's see what's hiding.
I got a couple on here. This is kind of neat. I never grew peanuts before. This is neat.
Can we save some to eat?
That's cool. I have not dug any of this Jerusalem artichokes out since I planted them, and they're actually starting to invade this other bed, so I'm gonna dig at least this first row of it out. See, we'll put some in our dinner tonight. Oh yeah. There's one right there. These are just here for whenever you need food. Look at that! There's like some big ones down in here. Oh yeah, look at that! Look at that! I might have chopped that one in half. That's really cool. We're gonna put some of these in a soup tonight. Cook them up like a potato. That's what you can do. Yeah. Really cool. We could just keep these in the ground until we want to harvest them, because I have harvested a few of these before, and what happens is once you harvest them, they kind of start to go soft, like within a couple days. So you really just want to keep them in the ground until you actually want to harvest them and either plant more or cook them. Holy cow, that's the biggest tuber so far. That almost looks like a potato. Oh my god. I'm gonna hurt myself. Ah! There's quite a few on here. Look at all these. Wow. I'm not gonna want to eat all of these. Some of these are really good size. Wow. How cool is that?
The chicken garden wasn't everything I hoped for, but it taught me exactly what to change for next year, and our 10 hens laid eggs all year long. Just a few years ago, this was all grass. Now it's a living system. Gardens, animals, soil, and family, all feeding each other. This is why we do it. We're already planning for next year. The kids are getting set up with their own raised bed, right beside mine, in front of our home. Now we can all work on our gardens together, growing more of what actually feeds us and less of what just looks good. Protecting the garden mattered, and protecting ourselves matters too. We're not done. We're just getting better. If you would like to recreate this 400 square foot garden space for yourself, you can buy my book, The 400 Square Foot Garden, which is now available on Amazon or on our website at www.the400squarefootgarden.com. In this book, I give you a playbook to follow that anybody could follow, regardless of how little gardening experience you may have, and create a garden from scratch in just 400 square feet. And I give you step-by-step guides and crop plans so you can grow food all year long in very little space. And I think you'll find it very helpful. We'll see you next time.